Family. Family is such a word. When we hear or listen to this word, many pictures starts flashing in front of our eyes. Our ancient society, we used to have joint family where there were grandparents, uncle, aunt, cousins, parents. But today we have nuclear family. The joy that one can have in a joint family, the care, the love, the cohesiveness can never be found in a nuclear family where only you exist. One such story is the tattered blanket. The tattered blanket. Why do you think the tattered blanket goes with the word family? The tattered blanket here is used. It means a blanket that is just a yarn of wool which is completely worn out, but only that ball of wool is left. One can use it, the name blanket is there, but it isn't fulfilling the purpose of a blanket. The tattered blanket is one such a lesson which will show us or which will tell us, yes, the family exists, but just in name. There are three characters in this story, and in this lesson, it is a conversation between three characters. The characters are Amma, an aged, wrinkled-faced old lady of 83 years, Kamala, Amma's eldest daughter, who is a widow, and Gopi, the unfortunate son who has forgotten his mother after getting a promotion. Let's see what happens. The story starts with Amma resting on the armchair and Kamala, her eldest daughter, sitting on the tinna. Her head is covered with a bath towel. Suddenly, a red-colored car stops at the gate. Amma is startled. She says, "Somebody is in the gate." Kamla walks up reluctantly while Amma makes a futile attempt to get up from the armchair. Kamla, approaching the gate, he saw a middle-aged fat bald man standing there. And it was none other than Gopi, the unfortunate son of the old Amma. Kamla inquired Gopi of his unexpected visit. Gopi replied on his way back to home from Thiruvananthapuram, he thought of getting down to his home and visit Amma. It was Gopi's visit to Amma after 5 long years. Amma asked Kamla, who was there at the gate? Kamla said it was Gopi. Amma couldn't believe her eyes, couldn't believe her ears. She replied in a startling voice, Kamla, I can't believe Gopi is here. Has his school closed for vacation? Gopi was standing there at the gate. He came in front of Amma. He knelt down and brought his face close to Amma's wrinkled face. Amma couldn't believe it was Gopi. Kamla was irritated. Kamla was annoyed. She couldn't understand why was this sudden unexpected visit of Gopi after 5 long years. She told in a loud voice to Amma, as if she cannot believe it was Gopi, as if Amma couldn't recognize her own son. Unfortunately, Amma couldn't recognize Gopi. She always used to ask Kamla if there was any letter. The last time Gopi has written a letter to Amma was 1 year back. But Kamla always used to tell Amma that Gopi writes every day. While she was saying all these things, her expression was irritated and annoyed. Kamla straight away told Gopi that she can't do this thing to her Amma, making her upset. Because when Amma asked Kamla, has Gopi written a letter? She said yes, he did. Gopi was standing there and he was only having a cold expression on his face. He couldn't understand why Kamla was lying. Suddenly, Amma asked Kamla, whom did Gopi marry? Kamla was replying, but there was some hidden annoyance in her, seeing Gopi standing there. She replied Amma if she had forgotten that Gopi has married Vimala, the district collector Nambiar's daughter. When Kamla was telling all these things to Gopi, that she lied Amma that Gopi writes letter every day, Gopi said he got promotion and he was running pillar to post. He was always in his toes. He used to have chores and everything. So he don't get much time to write letter to his Amma. To which Kamla replied annoyingly, why can't Gopi ask Vimala to write a letter to Amma? Has she also having lack of time? Gopi was standing there cold and calm, as if nothing could touch Gopi. Amma was sitting there. She was not understanding because she have this forgetfulness. Kamla told Gopi that she doesn't know how she would bring back her mother's memory. At times it's quite sharp and at times Amma just forgets everything. Gopi was standing exactly opposite to Amma, but Amma was not able to recognize Gopi. Gopi said it was him, Gopi, standing in front of her. But Amma asked Gopi, where is Gopi's mother? Does she live near to her place or quite far? And very innocently, Amma told Gopi that if he knows Gopi, to send her a blanket, a red blanket. Why? Because long back when Gopi has given her, when he was studying, that red blanket, it is tattered now. It is just a piece of red yarn of wool. While saying this, Amma stretched her back and said that it is too cold and she would need a blanket because she won't be able to tolerate the chilling cold for too long. Gopi replied that he would tell her son to send her a red blanket. If you imagine the situation is so painful, Amma, an 83-year-old aged mother, couldn't recognize Gopi, her son. Well, her son is still standing in front of her. Gopi was cold and calm. He had a briefcase in his hand, which he placed on the tinna. He opened, he got some clothes, some shaving sets, and some files. Amma, after talking to Gopi, went back to her room. Kamla came back to veranda. Kamla was annoyed and then she asked, why did you come back? Have you ever bothered to visit Amma in the last 5 years? She was extremely annoyed at Gopi as he had stopped writing letters to Amma for the last 1 year. Gopi's reply was cold. He said that life in Delhi has become too expensive and he has to maintain status. He has 4 children and he just can't meet both the ends with his salary. So he has visited his Amma not to visit Amma in real sense, rather to sell his share of property and take the money. Kamla was completely annoyed and irritated at Gopi. She replied that Gopi would sell his share, take the money, and leave. Gopi then replied that he would come whenever he would get time. And Kamla didn't like this reply. She said, "Your time." She knew that Gopi would never come back. Kamla was worried about Amma, that she can't pull her for more long because her body has started speaking, that it is getting older. But Gopi, with a feeble smile on his face, has said Kamla that Amma had forgotten Gopi. Kamla asked Gopi again if he remembered Amma. The story ends with this question to Gopi. We can conclude that nothing could touch Gopi. Nothing, simply nothing. Has he come there to visit Amma, to see his old Amma? No. The answer is absolutely no. Why has he visited his countryside home on his way back from Thiruvananthapuram? Just to sell his property and take the share of his property and leave. I would like to ask a question to our new generation. If this is the scenario, how would you tackle it? Let's pledge that any of our Amma should never forget her son, her daughter, on the way of remembering and feeling the absence of her daughter or her son.